Hello everyone and welcome to this campus executive. Today I'm welcoming Lyon Business School and we're going to be talking about their international MBA, the IMBA. In order to talk about it, I have the pleasure to welcome two guests of honor as usual. The first one, Michel Fan, the academic director, and one of his previous students, Smiti Kemani. She is an alumni student and she also is a product manager at Accenture. The two of them are here to answer my question, but first let's start with the corporate speech. So the corporate speech, Michel, it's basically a few minutes to introduce us to the IMBA. Can you tell us what we need to know about it?
Okay, so our international MBA program is a 10-month program plus an optional 6 months extra if the student wish to extend their study in France. And it's a fully taught in English with a very international cohort. Usually we have between 40 to 50 candidates per year, coming from 15 to 20 nationalities around the world, and with a mix of background in engineering, social science, medical studies, and of course business background as well. And so the program is taught entirely in École, in our main campus in France. Yeah.
Oh, all right, thank you. Are you done?
Yeah.
All right. So you're looking for high potential candidates. What is a high potential candidate?
A high potential candidate is people who have, previous work experience. So it's a program that targets to people who have already an initial work experience of 5 to 10 years of experience. Our average years of experience in our program for the last 3 years is 8 years of work experience, and with the average age of 32 years old. So they are quite junior managers, and they have high potential in the way that they have already been in the company workforce for several years, and now they can see that they need an MBA to progress in their career, to move to the next level, to the senior executive level.
All right, Smiti, so what was your profile? I mean, you were a high profile candidate, and so what were your academic background, working background?
So before coming to Lyon, I was working into the sales and marketing role in a startup for FMCG. And before that, I had close to 10 years of experience into IT audit as a product manager. So I had previous experiences with EY and Accenture, mostly into IT audit and IT controls. I think I had already reached the managerial positions in those companies, and in my last role, I was mostly handling sales profiles.
All right, so why do you pick Lyon then in order to pursue? Because you already had like a massive career behind you, so why would you feel the need to go for an MBA and especially at Lyon?
My majority of background was into IT management, and I wanted to move into sales and marketing. I think these are the two skills that all the managers, especially to grow in any corporate or any business, these two skills, marketing and sales, are needed. And I felt that I was lacking in those skills. I had technical skills, I had people management skills to some level, but definitely not sales and marketing. So I started looking for schools, international schools, and my focus was in Europe. So I was looking for schools which had good marketing and sales and entrepreneurship kind of courses. And then I came across Lyon, and I think the courses offered by the school, the program, it suited perfectly my requirements, and that's how I decided to go ahead with Lyon.
So Michel, I mean, when we listen to Smiti and all the students that you've described, they're like very high-profile candidates. So how do you differentiate them, and which advice could you give a student on submitting a successful application?
Yeah. So first of all, they need to know why they want to do an MBA in the first place. In the case Smiti, you can see that she comes from IT background, so she needs to have management skills like marketing and management strategy and so on. So this is what very important criteria for us to select the right candidate, because we want to make sure that we bring something additional value to the candidates, of course, and to help them to enhance their career after their program. That's our aim, is to make sure that the value they get from the program, it's really meaningful to them because it's a big investment for them because it's a full-time MBA, so they have to take 1 year off their work. Most of the time they have to leave their home and family, where they live, to come to France for 1 year. So it's a lot of costs involved, emotional costs and financial costs as well. So that's why we make sure that we give them the best value we can.
You want to make sure they're going to make the most of it.
Yes, exactly. So we make sure that with the fit between their career objectives and what we offer is there.
Smithy, so you had to move to Lyon, I guess, and do you need to speak French in order to enjoy the Lyon lifestyle, or because the program is in English? But how would you recommend speaking French, regardless?
Not speaking French, like fluent French, but to some level just to get by in the daily life, because you have to understand living in France does require a little bit of French to get by the supermarket and the daily activities, working with your accommodation, your housing, everything. So learning a little bit of French, just knowing the basic, definitely helps.
And in your choice, I mean, you came across Lyon, but why would you choose, for example, for an international career, why would you choose Lyon over Paris, for example?
So I think it was more driven by the courses provided by Lyon. So Lyon has a lot of marketing related courses, and I know that a lot of management and courses are also offered in Paris. However, I was specifically interested in international MBA, and this course was happening in Lyon. So I think I was just driven by the course there.
All right, so it's not about the city, it's about the school, I guess, and the course that they offer more than, okay, it makes perfect sense. Is it a generalist or a specialized program, Michel?
Well, it's both, in fact. The part of the program, we give them like general management skills, like finance, accounting, strategy, marketing, that's HR as well. So there are basic management skills that everyone needs in the MBA. And that's the first part of the MBA. And the second half of the MBA, when they have to choose their specialization. So they have 9 choices of specialization they can take. And that helps them to be more focused toward their career objective. You can choose like project management specialization, or marketing management, or CSR management. So there are different courses specializing to help the candidate to be more specialized at the end. Yeah.
And do they have to choose at the beginning of the year?
No, they have to choose after the first part. Yeah. So they choose. We'll give them time to find themselves also, because most of the candidates they come to the program, they have no idea what marketing is, finance is, accounting, they never heard of those terms. So they discover those different areas of the different subjects. So to be able to choose that specialty, they need to know what it is first before they engage themselves.
All right, so they have no idea about all of those things. However, they still have a lot of work experience behind them. So how do you adapt a pedagogy to those kind of students and to their in order to match their long work experience? Because they're not used to be students anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's why our teaching, we have a mix of academic professors, academic professor with PhD and research oriented and so on. And we have the half of the professor body is consultants, experts in the industry who come to our campus to teach them. So we have a mix of, purely academic teaching and also hands-on experience teaching as well. That one makes the program interesting I'm sure Smithy can share, some experience she had with, for example, we have a course of like a new venture, for example, new business venture. We have a very expert professors coming from industry to teach a student how to develop a new business for tomorrow.
So how was it, Smithy, to be a student again after 10 years of work experience?
I think it's a beautiful experience. I honestly did not expect to have so much fun and also learning. So it was definitely an amazing experience. I'm so glad that I did it. I think it's a second chance at life when you get back to school and you meet your friends and professors and start everything from scratch. I think it's an amazing experience.
And how would you describe the professor then? Like Michel said, maybe you can share one of your experience that will help us understand how beautiful and amazing it was.
So overall, the experience of going back to school, especially after a lot of working experience, is definitely very, so it can be daunting because you have to leave behind your company, you have to leave your paychecks, and then you go to school and go back to living like a student. It's a bit daunting at first, but then you also get to experience the very, very basic daily lifestyle of a student, getting up in the morning, going to the classes, that whole routine day after day for a year. I think that itself is pretty amazing. And with the professors, I think for me, I believe when I attended the classes for strategy, business strategy, I think that was for me an amazing course and something that was something that really added on to how I see and wanted to perceive my career. Because as I said in the beginning, I was very focused into marketing and sales. But then while doing these courses, I realized that there's so much potential in just learning the basic concepts and then understanding where you'd want to go. And I think that clicked with me when I was in the strategy courses. So it gives you a glimpse of how you would want to perceive yourself. So, and I think it's different for every student, but for me, definitely it was the strategy courses.
All right, so it's like Michel said, you come with a project, an idea, and then you change it through times within like the whole basics they learn, and then they can specialize, like you said, among those 9 specializations. What makes this MBA different from other programs of the exact same name?
Well, we have a very strong focus on CSR, corporate social responsibility, and environmental issues. Today, we cannot expect that any new manager coming to workforce cannot ignore the environmental problems we are facing, the planet, the country, the region we are in. So we are making a very strong focus on CSR, and we want to give them not only to be aware of the issues, but to how to solve those problems, how to bring innovative solutions to the problem we are facing, whether they're like environmental pollution, whatever could be. So the students are working on different projects throughout the whole MBA. And that is, and well, of course, our school are very well known for entrepreneurship. So we want to give them also the sense of how to become an entrepreneur themselves. Maybe not right after the MBA, but maybe at a later stage when after 5 years, 10 years after the graduation, they could become their own entrepreneur one day and change the world of business.
Being an entrepreneur or a company man, that's what we're talking about, but right after the expat question. The expat question, the irony is that people who are lacking knowledges will apply in this MBA. How do you ensure your students won't have to come back in 10 years to learn more about future new management methods again?
Well, you know, like our world is moving very fast. Everything changing constantly today. So what we teach them today, we cannot be sure that in 10 years the world would still remain the same and then the concept will be valid. You know, that it's not possible for us to predict what will happen in 10 years. So that's why I think we encourage them to keep learning, not only after the MBA, but keep learning, because it's a lifelong journey, learning. So they can come back, you know, maybe in 5-10 years time to do like short courses or to refresh the courses or even to add new skill. Today, we cannot just stop learning.
Right, so this MBA is more about the idea of learning and how you have to develop skills through times all the time, and it's not just like you've learned that, so now you're done for the rest of your life in some way.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen like that. And I'm sure that Smithy would know that even in a consulting company, new technology come, new tools come. You have constantly to keep learning on everyday basis to keep you on the top of the market.
All right, so it's just a way of thinking. You mentioned being an entrepreneur after 5 years after this program, for example. Is this program adapted for an entrepreneur as much as for a company man? If I wanted to launch my own company right after this MBA, would this MBA be as efficient as if I wanted to be by company man or company woman, like for example working at Accenture and make sure that I will have higher work?
Yeah, exactly. The program was designed exactly for that scenario. We have a choice because at the end of the program, the student have to work on a project called Entrepreneur Learning Project, And this type of basically consulting project, and they have two choices. Either they do a company project for an existing company with a real existing problem to solve in a team, or they can work on their own company to launch their company, to do like all the business plan and to do market research. So that project can be done either way. So the student can choose, do you want to launch their own company? This is the time to start to work on it.
Did you have any, I would say, co-students who just had to launch their company as well? As much, like you said every path is different. I had mine, but would you have friends or previous friends that have launched their companies that you could name, Smriti?
Quite a lot of friends of mine, they have moved away from their corporate jobs and started their own companies. And as you can imagine, not every company is successful. Startups sometimes fail. There's a higher chance for a startup to fail, but I still have quite a lot of friends. I know the companies, but they're not very popular and they're back in India. But for instance, there's a friend who started a restaurant and on a very niche concept of healthy food delivery, especially salads. I also have a friend who started an e-com startup for stationery and craft supplies, and there are many more, many small startups. Some are doing pretty well, some are well known in India, some are not so well known. But I think mostly after a certain years of experience, I see as a general trend that people try to do something of their own because it's more challenging, it's also more promising and fulfilling.
So like you say, so it could be a life-changing experience. You could be working in a company and all of a sudden you're launching a restaurant, very niche concept. It's called an international MBA. What's international about this program?
Everything. The content, the professors, the students. So, and also they have a learning experience. So they have, for example, 2 study trips. The one to go to Geneva and one to go to Berlin. And then you have a cohort of 40, we have 18 to 20 nationalities every year. The professors also come from all over the world. We have professors from every country pretty much. You have, you know, even the professors at EMLyon, we're very international already. On the top of that, we have external professors who come. They also come from different countries, different parts of the world. So that's why the international is everything. And the concept we taught in the program also cover, you know, the world business, not only for European or for French context.
Michel, you're a new academic director.
Yeah.
And students often are asked, why would you be a good student for this international MBA, I'm sure. And my question would be, what makes you a good new academic director for the international MBA?
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, I know EMLyon I work for EMLyon for 12 years now. And for me, it's managing a program for me is always to look at how to bring the program to the next level. That's for me, that's my responsibility to how to make, and you can always make improvements in everything you do every day. So we can try to make how the program can be better, how students can be more satisfied, how we can get probably better ranking in the international rankings, for example, how we can get better, you know, employee student after the graduations. That's important for them as well. So that part of the role I am doing now is how to make it better.
All right, so it was your job interview all over again. Thank you for playing the game. What international accreditation and recognition does this program have? You mentioned the rankings. What are the rankings, for example?
Yeah, we have a Financial Times ranking. We have the European ranking, like for European EQUIS ranking as well. So you have different, but most important is the Financial Times ranking. This is the international ranking that every student around the world look at. So we just gained like 13 spots this year. So we are among the top 20 program MBA in Europe.
And since you're going to make it better, it's probably going to be top 10 within the next year, obviously.
Maybe.
Maybe, for sure. Smriti, is there a reason why students would not want to come?
I think every student can have their own reasoning. One of the big reasons could be courses. If you're interested in something very, very specific, they may go to school. For instance, MLEO, I think, is extremely well known for their entrepreneurship courses, and especially a lot of focus on CSR, as Michelle just mentioned. So students who are very interested in these kind of courses and experiences, they would definitely choose MLEO. But some students may have some other focus. I think that could be and should be the big point of choice.
And Smithy, we talked about hard skills a lot and how you've developed so many of them, so many of those. However, you must know even better than I do that management is also about soft skills. Have you developed any kind of soft skills through this year in the International MBA?
I would say that International MBA provides you with very basic tool set. For instance, they give you knowledge or information about what are the challenges today with management, what are the solutions related to soft skills. For instance, it could be the diversity with people, especially when you're working in an international environment. It could also be basic challenges that people are facing today in terms of environmental challenges that every company in Europe is so focused on. So as a school, I think MLEO, the IMBA program at MLEO, enables the students to see these problems and then help them figure out ways to find out the solutions. So rather than giving one solution and one problem, they enable students, and the program enables students to understand the different challenges that exist and let the students find out ways. So I think they just enable students to be able to see the challenges and find out the solutions. That's, I think, a big takeaway.
So hard skills, soft skills, and you also talked about having fun. You say it was very fun. You really emphasized that. How fun is it? How is the atmosphere in the class? I mean, you're just different people from different countries in the same school. You've all taken like a whole year of layoff. How is the atmosphere? Is it a bit, people are stressed because they've left all their country? People are just happy to be in France and be all together at EM Business School? How is it?
So it's a mix of everything. As I said, it's a bit daunting in the beginning because you can imagine 20, 30 people all together in a classroom. They all have left their jobs. Some have families that they're missing. Some have kids back home. And everyone's together and learning every day from morning 8 to sometimes evening 10, 11, because you have so much work and so many things. But the good thing, and why I say it's fun, is you do it all together. I think it's more like you have a huge problem, but everybody is in it, and everybody is trying to figure out a solution, and that brings the students very close to each other. We try to help out each other, and we end up towards the end. We end up having relationships that are long-lasting, and I think that's the beauty of the program.
All right, all together we're stronger. Is it easier to get a job in France after I finish this degree?
Yes, they should, but the only issue that, because we have very international cohort, the French language is a requirement. You know, in France, to be employed as a full-time manager, you need to have, at least you can speak French at the conversational level. And some company even require to have some experience, practical professional experience in France as well. So it's not always easy for our students when they come from, from completely different country and they have zero knowledge of French language to settle in France. But we provide them French classes to get them, daily routine to survive in France. But it's not enough for, in 1 year you cannot learn how to speak French and to work in a French company. That's for sure.
And what kind of boost in his career can one expect once he's graduated?
Well, usually if they have, we have what we call the student, they have 3 types of jumps. When they do MBA, they have 3, either they jump to change country, the geographical location. Sometimes they change the industry they were in, and sometimes they want to change the position. So when you do 3 jumps at a time, it's very complicated. You need to be focused on which one is more. You can change country, but you stay in the same industry, and try to get maybe a similar position first and then move up the ladder, or you can change the position but you stay in your own country. So this is something that we always advise students, that there are 3 jumps in their life. If they want to do 3 at the same time, it can be very complicated.
Very challenging.
Yes.
And very disorientating.
Yeah.
Smitty, it says that there's a higher return on investment when it comes to once you complete this degree. Would you agree with that? Have you experienced it, that you had a high return on investment? I mean, it could be financially as well.
I think yes, because you have to. We have to understand that after the school, as Michelle said, that although it's a bit challenging for international students to get a job in France because of the language challenges, but still there are opportunities. And in my experience, what I've seen in my class and previous cohorts, eventually students do get the job. It could be some waiting, but then generally students get the job. So return on investment in terms of satisfaction, I think definitely I would say that's pretty high, because a lot of students who come to the school, one of the big reasons is they want to change their country, which is pretty evident that they're here in France. So the education enables you achieve that. And then the other 2, which are jump in your career, a career shift or a language shift, I think these are then just follow-ups. But the fact that there are opportunities, and after the MBA, because it's as Michelle said, it's a generalist plus specialist program, it enables you to eventually find the job of your choice and achieve your goals that you had planned for. So I would say yes, definitely has a high return on investment.
All right, thank you very much for answering all my questions. Time flies. It's already time for the last words. It's about conclusion. Is there anything we haven't heard about yet that you want us to know, or maybe you want to emphasize on something that really will make sure that future students are going to hear it? Smitty, what would be your conclusion?
To conclude, I would say for any student, whenever they are preparing or deciding to do an MBA from an international school, before applying for the course, before applying for the school, it's very, very important to understand your goals, your success idea, and then apply for the course. Just coming to the school without having a very basic idea of what you really want to do actually leads to dissatisfaction and later on challenges in finding the job. When you have some very clear idea, and if it's not even clear, but some kind of idea why you're doing this MBA, it really helps you select the right course, the right program, and then the MBA itself can help you achieve those goals, and you can tailor the entire program. Generally, especially with IMBA, it offers the students the choice to tailor the program, as Michelle said, with the electives and a lot of courses. So the whole program can really help you achieve those goals. So I believe the students must and always, before applying for any MBA or deciding to even pursue any course outside of their country, they should just think of what they want to achieve from that course, what they want to get out of it. And they can then really achieve a lot.
All right, thank you very much, Smitty. Michelle, what will be your conclusion? The last words on this stage, obviously. Yeah,
well, the last word is, for me, it's what Smitty said, that you need to do your homework, especially to analyze what is your real need. Do you need an MBA or not to move forward to your career? Sometimes it's not always a must, because you have some other options as well. And if you try to do an MBA, you make sure that you choose the right location and with the right purpose behind that, and you have to be realistic in your goals, what you can do and what you cannot do. Because the MBA is not like a magic wand that it changed the whole world, it's like we're not in a fairy tale world here. So you have to be realistic in your career goal and objectives as well. Right.
All right, thank you, Michel. Thank you, Smithy. Thanks to the two of you for answering all my questions. To need an MBA or not to need an MBA, that is the questions. If you need one, if the answer is yes, it's at Lyon Business School with the IMBA, the International MBA. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.